You are listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome to this special KCSN update. I'm BJ Kissel, hanging out with Tucker Franklin at the new KCSN offices. Tucker, stepping the game up just a little bit. We've been working on this for a while. It's nice to finally be in here and doing some content.
Very excited. You know, it's a big day when I wore a collar. I wore a collar to bring in the new office. Look at this. I mean, it's great artwork.
And shout out Deontay Howard for the artwork.
I had to show it off. It's great. Great.
Yeah, so we've got a special KCSN update. We're talking about this. We've been talking about the draft for so long. Been talking about free agency ad nauseum. Brett Veach, we got to get him to do something. We got content, barren wasteland of no content right now. So what do? You get creative, and we are going to do an all-time Chiefs draft. I'm going to do 2 episodes. This is going to be an offensive episode. Next week, we'll do a defensive episode where Tucker and I are going to basically just draft all-time Chiefs offense, 11 players. We're going to go 11 personnel. So you get 1 tight end, 1 running back, 3 wide receivers, and then entire offensive line. And in order to determine who's going to go first on drafting an all-time Chiefs offense between me versus you, and then you're going to let us know in the comment section whose team would be more explosive or who would have a better offense. Let us know that. But Tuck, we're going to have you flip the trusty Emprise Bank debit card because we don't carry change because it's 2023. And so go ahead and flip that card. We're going to say that is heads, and you're going to make the call. So
I'm flip it and call it in the air.
Yes, that's how this is going to work.
This is tails.
What do you call
Here we go. We're going to call it in the air. Heads.
It is heads. You get the first pick, and my strategy's already thrown out the window.
Yes.
All right, Tucker gets to go first. It's anybody who played, and we're going to go, here's an important distinction here before we get started. It's going to be the player as to how they played when they were with the Chiefs.
Gotcha.
Which is probably going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you, considering the most important position. There is a guy named Joe Montana who's pretty good. Wasn't necessarily in his prime when he was with the Chiefs. So it's when they were a member, Jerome Revis, another very, very good one. We're doing offense today, though. But you get the first pick.
At quarterback, I assume, right?
You can pick any position you want. You want to start with a running back or an offensive lineman, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
You can go ahead and do that if you want.
Well, shoot. Well, I wasn't expecting. I'm going to say Patrick Mahomes.
No, shock.
That's my first pick. That's what I'll go with. Listen, best quarterback of all time? Yes. And best Chiefs quarterback of all time already. I think it's pretty easy to see that Patrick Mahomes. I think really if either you or I would have gotten the first pick, it would have been Patrick Mahomes. But that's who I'm going to go with. I think it's a layup. It's a surefire number 1.
Yeah, see, now there's some strategy to this because it's not surprising that Patrick Mahomes is going to be the number 1 pick, but now you're not taking another quarterback. So I don't have to take a quarterback right now. I can wait a little bit. So with the number 2 pick, again, lots of different kinds of strategies you can use here. Oh, man. I'm going to rock with Willie Roaf.
That's a good one.
I'm going to go with the franchise beast of a left tackle. I don't care if he was better or more in his prime when he was with the Saints, as anchoring one of the greatest, if not the greatest offensive line in NFL history. So I'm going with Willie Roaf as my left tackle. My first pick, Tuck.
See, that's a good one. When you start to think about, because you're wanting teams here, you already got your cornerstone with Willie Roaf. And, you know, starting to think about skill positions. Like, do I want to go a skill position that, like, because the way that you laid out your argument is like, man, maybe I should go and get, you know, a good offensive lineman. But I'm gonna go with Travis Kelce at tight end. I just can't do it. It's too easy. I'm gonna go Travis Kelce with my second pick. Greatest Chiefs tight end of all time. Greatest tight end according to you of all time. Yep. Hard to argue his production, especially with Patrick Mahomes. We're talking about careers with the Chiefs. Doesn't get better than the 2 guys that I've got on my team right now. So very recency bias on my team. Possibly that could be a problem, but I like it. I like it so far.
That's a good one. That's a very good one. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, not a surprise by the 20-year-old.
Hey, now. But my age is going to be a disadvantage in this, I think.
I'm going to go with my number 2 pick. I'm going to rock a little Will Shields. I'm going to take the greatest right guard in NFL history. It wasn't my strategy to go offensive line, but you know what? The way the board is talking to me right now, I'm going to rock with Will Shields with my number 2 pick. Just building a bully up front, you could say. So I've got Willie Roaf and Will Shields. You're recreating the Chiefs offense of now, and I'm recreating the Chiefs offensive line of back in the day.
You're putting me in a pickle here. Is what you're doing. You're putting me in a hard spot because, yeah, Tyreek Hill's sitting pretty on the board. Jamal Charles sitting pretty on the board there. But I'm going to run into a spot where the offensive line is going to get a little tough for me. So I do think that I am going to go with an offensive line.
Okay.
And I'm going to go, gosh. I don't know if I want to go offensive.
See, I'll name off some of the options here. So we have like some notes written down.
Yeah.
Different options. So if you want to go left tackle, but for the same strategy that we talked about earlier, you might not necessarily need to do that. There's a hole in this strategy. We get it. It's not a perfect way to do this. But left guard, center, right tackle, none of those positions have been drafted. And you've got Brian Waters, Ed Buddy, Dave Zott. At center, Casey Wegman, Creed Humphrey, Tim Grunhard. And then at right tackle, Mitch Schwartz, Dave Hill, John Tate, John Wellborn. All guys have had success at different eras of football.
Right.
And don't, please, in the comment section, don't be the guy to be like, well, if you take a offensive lineman from, the 60s, 70s and put him in today's NFL. No, it's how good they were relative to their era and just kind of keep that in its own little silo vertical. Okay, we get it.
Right. Well, there's no changing.
They're much better athletes. Offensive linemen, much more athletic now than they were back in the 60s, but it doesn't take any away how dominant they were against their level of competition and their era of football.
I appreciate you stalling for me.
That's exactly what I was trying to
get me
do,
to think.
which is nicer than I should be considering we are odds here.
Right.
To build the best offense.
Yeah, I thought about going offensive line, but I'm just going to go Jamal Charles. Running back. That's what I'm going to do because
that was my next pick.
Listen, I think it's already been talked about a whole lot in Patrick Mahomes' careers. Imagine if Patrick Mahomes had Jamal Charles and just what the offense can do. I'm imagining that right now with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Very off-brand for me not to go offensive line and just go all still skill positions so far in this draft, but pleased with how my team's shaking out.
You should be. Team's shaking out pretty well. All right. I, with my number 3 pick, number 6 overall, am going to, very tempted just to keep.
You should. You really should.
I'm not. I'm taking Tyreek Hill. I'm taking Tyreek Hill with the 6th overall pick in the Chiefs all-time offensive draft. I know it sets people off because of recency and what's happened in his podcast, some of the things that he's come out and said. Doesn't change the fact that he's the greatest wide receiver in Chiefs franchise history. Yep. There's some other very good wide receivers. We're getting 3 wide receivers that we get to select. Remember, we're in 11 personnel, but I like the fact that I've got a good offensive line so far, pairing it up with a pretty explosive wide receiver, we could say, with Tyreek Hill.
Here's the thing, too, is that we're talking about 3 wide receivers. Chiefs are not a historic organization when it comes to wide receivers. So if you start picking the top of the wide receivers, it might leave me again in another jam, but I think I'm going to go to the offensive line, and I am going to go with Brian Waters. I'm going to take him at the left tackle position, and got to get a good cornerstone piece for Patrick Mahomes to protect him in that offense. And what do you got, guys like Jamal Charles and Travis Kelce? I like the direction that I'm taking here. Gotta go to the offensive.
That's a good pick. That's a good solid pick. And with my 4th pick, staying along the offensive line, I'm taking my guy Mitch Schwartz.
Yeah,
one of the greatest right tackles in Chiefs history. There's some good right tackles the Chiefs have had, but you give me Willie Roaf, Will Shields, and Mitch Schwartz up front. I like where things are headed with this, so I'm rocking with Mitch Schwartz with my 4th pick, 8th overall in the Chiefs all-time offensive draft.
See, now I'm tempted because I'm in my head about wide receivers. You have clearly cornered the offensive line market here. I have thought too hard about wide receivers, so I'm going to go with Jeremy Maclin as wide receiver. Maybe a little bias on my part. Mizzou guy, was a very big fan of when he came to Kansas City. Obviously, being a fan of him in college. But Jeremy Maclin had a nice little career with Kansas City. He had a good career with Philly too, but Kansas City had a good little career, so I'm going to go with Maclin as my first wide receiver.
I like it. We're going to get into an issue here because should have gone too deep. There should have been some more strategy. As soon as you take a pick, you don't have to go back there.
Right.
I know you're not taking anybody else, so I can wait on everything else.
Yeah.
And it's going to get interesting here. Wide receivers are going to be where it's at, though. I can see how this is going to play out. Yeah. So with my second wide receiver, in addition to Tyreek Hill, and again, this is in the era that they played, I'm going to take the late, great Otis Taylor. Because Jeremy Maclin, very solid player, but Jeremy Maclin isn't in a conversation for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Otis Taylor is absolutely in the conversation. And you give me a big physical receiver like Otis Taylor to go alongside Tyreek Hill with this offensive line that I'm building, Tuck.
Yeah. Blind spot. Maybe my age was a blind spot in that one. But I think I'm going to stick with wide receiver. That's a good one. But I'm going to go with a guy that when I was growing up, this guy was the guy. He was a wide receiver. He wore number 82. I'm going to go with Dwayne Bowe. I'm going to go with him to get some Dwayne Bowe, Jeremy Maclin action. A couple of fun guys to have on the outside with Patrick Mahomes. And listen, Dwayne Bowe's even said that he wished he had Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. Sorry, Matt. I'm sure that Matt Castle wishes he had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce as well. So Dwayne Bowe, second wide receiver.
That's a good pick.
I need to go with the offensive line, though. I'm getting bare there.
Yeah. Where do I want to go with this? Got your two wide receivers. I've got two wide receivers. Some good ones left. Very good ones left. Man, this is tough because there's three good centers.
There are.
Here's the thing, and I think Tucker and I are probably both looking at the board the same kind of way, and that we're gonna two of these centers are gonna get taken. That's Casey Wegman, Tim Grunhard, and Creed Humphrey. Right. You can't go. I'm not gonna be upset if I get any one of those three guys. I'm gonna get to pick at least one of the two.
Correct.
But receiver,
it gets a little thin.
There's one, and running back I don't have to worry about because they already took Jamal.
Right. It is.
So I've got choices between guys like Christian Okoye, Larry Johnson, Priest Holmes.
Some good ones. Some really good ones.
No, that's a tough one too because both Larry Johnson and Priest Holmes, phenomenal football players. Mm-hmm. They put up some big numbers because they got to run behind the offensive line. They're not building right now.
Right.
So you put Jamal behind the line. I was building, which is what my strategy was until you stole him early in this. And I still have to figure out my quarterback. It's either Joe Montana or Trent Green.
Matt Castle.
Love you, Matt, but it's probably going to be one of the other two.
No, Trent.
It's probably going to end up being Trent, but I don't have to decide that now. And it doesn't matter if I say it.
That's true. I can't do anything about it.
You have the greatest football player to ever live on your team. With this pick, I'm going to rock with Derek Alexander. I'm going to take number 3 pick. You look at the Chiefs record books. I know it was before, probably around the time that you were born, as Derek Alexander was just absolutely killing it. I believe he's coaching in the Kansas City area at Avila, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but I believe he's still around. I know he's one of the Chiefs ambassadors, does things around the community, but I'm going to go with Derek Alexander to round out my trio of wide receivers. I don't have a quarterback yet, but I've got Tyreek Hill, Otis Taylor, and Derek Alexander, who get a list of 3 best receivers in franchise history. Those would be 3 of the top 4, along with Mr. Dwayne Bowe. So I'm comfortable with my receiving core. I'm going to go ahead and put a bow on that and call that one done.
I'm going to go ahead and make the choice at center for you. I'm going to say Tim Grunhard. I'm going to have him as my center. I'll take Grundy. So we look at my offensive line now. Brian Waters on the left side, left tackle. Got Grundy in the middle. I like how this is going. There's some guys there at guards and tackle I can think real nicely with that set right there. But I'm still needing a wide receiver. That third wide receiver. So we'll see if I can pull one out.
And I'm done drafting them. So you just get to choose one you want out of those 4. So there is some strategy left. A few of the positions, not as many guys that you would necessarily choose from. But wide receivers, different ways you can build it. Because you got guys like Dante Hall,
right,
who wouldn't necessarily be considered one of the best wide receivers, but his skill set that, along with Patrick Mahomes and the rest of this group that you're built, Jamal Charles, Dwayne, man, you got a powerful offense.
I got a good skill player.
I'm going to go ahead and just follow that up and take my center as well, since we're at this point right now where all of the picks have been taken in certain position groups. And I'm going to go with Creed Humphrey. Casey Wegman, phenomenal player throughout his career. We take the upside, young player with Creed Humphrey, athletic. You pair him next to Will Shields, Mitch Schwartz, and Willie Rofe, and whoever I end up with the left guard. I like where my offensive line is going.
I do too. And you also, you still have tight end open, I believe.
I wonder who that's going to be.
Yeah.
Leonard Pope. So there.
Leonard Pope still on the board. Tony Moyaki still available. Talking about quarterback. Ricky Stanzi still available.
Warren Moon.
Let's
get weird with it.
I don't know how good his Chiefs career was now thinking about it. I'm not really a football historian. We found out recently. You couldn't necessarily call me a historian when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs.
You better learn because your offensive line is
My offensive line. Need some history here.
Yeah. I shouldn't have written any of the notes down. I should just let you have chosen.
Should have made me flounder through Google searches trying to figure this out.
You would have ended up taking like Lucas Niang for my tackle because you don't know who John Wellborn or John Tate are. But
it's true. I didn't actually know.
Or Dave Hill.
Yeah,
back. I'm not gonna pretend to know. Dave Hill is a player.
Started 9 straight years without missing a game.
Impressive.
That is a crazy stat. I'm going to go with wide receiver. I'm going to wrap up my skill positions. I'm going to go Eddie Kinnison is who I'm going to go. That's top 10.
Good for you, young buck.
On the list. Yeah, he's top 10 receiving yards in a Chiefs career. He's got him. He's number 10 on that list. Up there with some pretty good names. So I'll go with Eddie Kinnison. He's one of the first Chiefs players that I can really remember cheering real hard for.
If I had to pick another wide receiver, I had to add a fourth just for people listening. I know there's some good one. Dante Hall, Carlos Carson, Stephon Page was a guy when I was real young. He was really fun to watch. Big, long, big plays across the middle of the field. I was really young when I was watching this tuck. You were like 15 years away from being born. But fun player to watch. So if I had to add a fourth, it'd probably be Stephon Page. But you rounded out your wide receiver. So let us know in the comment section as you're following along. Tucker's 3 wide receivers that Patrick Mahomes is throwing the football to: Dwayne Bowe, Eddie Kinnison, and Jeremy Maclin.
Oh.
And right now, I'm stuck at quarterback. This one's tough for me.
Yeah.
And there's some bias here because Trent Green's one of my favorite people in the world. He is genuinely, for anybody listening, I just ran into him, one of the nicest dudes you could ever meet. Not even with a clarify for a football player, or he's one of the nicest celebrities in LA. He's just a genuinely nice.
He's just a nice guy.
Had a chance to talk with him a few weeks ago. Make sure you go check that out. Hit that like and subscribe while you're doing it. But Joe Montana. It's Joe Montana.
Yeah, it's Joe Montana.
He was older. Wasn't really moving around quite as much. Trent Green, as much as I like him too, he had the benefit of most of the offensive line that I've built here so far. So which one would it be? He's got a great offensive line. He's got Tyreek Hill, Otis Taylor, Derek Alexander that he's throwing the football to. Oh, man.
There are some names out there at quarterback, too. I mean, talk about Alex Smith, had a really good career with the Chiefs. Don't want to cloudy it anymore for you, but also I know people might throw out. I lost the name. I think Alex Smith was the one I wanted to bring up because I didn't want people to yell at us.
Elvis Gerbach, Rich Gannon.
I had Elvis Gerbach, first jersey I owned, Kansas City Chiefs fan. The number 12 when he wore it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was one of those like kits that you could buy, that had like the helmet with the jersey with it and everything. And it was.
Do you still have it?
I don't think so. I have a picture of me in it. But
I own one Chiefs jersey, and I've wore it, I believe, twice. I got it when I was living in San Diego years ago. It's a Joe Montana Chiefs jersey.
Yeah.
I was living in San Diego at the time, and shockingly enough, even though there are a lot of Chiefs fans in San Diego, most people in California don't equate Joe Montana to Chiefs. Shocker. Even in Southern California.
Yep.
They don't. So it was a Mitchell and Ness 50th anniversary, like throwback
cool.
jersey. The patch is cool. I wore it. I think I've wore it twice. And both times is when the Chiefs played the Chargers out in San Diego. I've never been a big jersey person. Never wore a lot of jerseys. Not exactly sure why. As I got older, it just felt weird.
Yeah.
For me personally, I'd wear another man's jersey. My wife got a Matt Castle jersey and then took out the C and the A and put the K and the I with duct tape to say Kissel, number 7, because that was my number in college. Baseball. So we've got a Kissel jersey. Nope, not being disrespectful, Matt.
Lynn Dawson was actually the other one I wanted to bring up about quarterback too. Because it's a guy that's pretty good years, Kansas City.
And relative to when he played, yeah. So Trent Green, Joe Montana, Len Dawson, building the best team we possibly can. I'm going to take Corey. I'm going to go with Joe Montana. I'm sorry, Trent. He's got the pedigree, won a lot of Super Bowls, won a lot of big games when he's here. So I'm going to go with Joe Montana as my quarterback. Luckily, I built a phenomenal offensive line thus far, and he's going to have some time to deliver the football to these guys. But I'm going to go with Mr. Joe. You know what? No, I'm not. I haven't turned the card in. No, I just got to talking about it. We're going with Len Dawson. That's happening.
He is the all-time Chiefs leader in passing yards. 28,507. Good shot that Patrick Mahomes could beat that this year. But he is the all-time leader in passing yards still and touchdowns. So, I mean, historic. Played really well when he played, obviously. And also, the stories of him, like, being a commentator at the same time of, like, play.
Yeah.
Incredible.
We're here, Content Factory at KC Sports Network, so we got content on the mind as well. So, Len, listen, our content's be much better than yours. Post-game interviews. My quarterback's going to be interviewing all his teammates. So that's what we should do.
we should hire Patrick to do it.
No, I was just saying we should draft Chiefs media. As well. You got Kevin Harlan, you got Mitch Holtis.
That's really It's
out there.
There's a ton there because I mean, didn't Jim Nance have Kansas City ties as well? Maybe I'm making that up. Maybe I'm thinking that Kevin Harlan is who I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good ones.
Grigsby.
Nick Wright. I mean, to talk to the younger audience.
The ultimate hype man for your team. Ooh, that'll be the bonus at the end. We just created this in the spot. Ultimate hype man for your team. With Chiefs ties. So let's move along. You're up next, bud.
So I have an offensive line to make still, basically. I only have Grunny and Brian Waters. And you took Mitch Schwartz as your right tackle, correct?
I did. Nothing off the board.
I believe we had Dave Hill as a right tackle, right?
Yep.
I'll take Dave Hill as a right tackle. Again, a stat that we found out when we were doing research for this project. Not missing a game in 9 seasons.
Not bad.
That's pretty crazy. And that's back in the day when they were vicious out there. So give me Dave Hill as my right tackle.
All right, I'll go with my left guard. I'll round out my offensive line with Ed Buddy. So
that's a good name.
Ed Buddy, my right guard, 5-time All-Star. My offensive line is beastly.
Yeah.
It is. All right. Left tackle, Willie Rofe. Left guard, Ed Buddy. Center, Creed Humphrey. Right guard, Will Shields. Right tackle, Mitch Schwartz.
Pretty strong.
Len Dawson has some time to throw the football. Not a running back yet, but he's got some time to deliver the ball to some playmakers.
Yeah. Okay. I've got mine. Let's go with Dave Zott. Where do we put Zott at?
You already have a left guard.
Okay. Crap. No.
Dave Lutz. Right guard.
I picked Dave Hill.
He's a right tackle.
Right. So I still have the left guard open. Dave Zott.
You took Brian Waters.
I put him at tackle. Yeah, you're right.
If you want to take Brian Waters and put him at tackle, it will be allowed.
That was a clerical error on my end by wrongly classifying Brian Waters. That's why I was so confused.
Then I'll be dinged something for this.
I probably should.
We should have done this live in the comment section. Could have told us what you should be penalized.
They would have. I would have been gone. Okay.
Waters actually started his career on the practice squad of the Dallas Cowboys before he signed with Kansas City.
Wow.
Fun fact for you.
What a guy. Let's go left tackle. I'm going to go Eric Fisher, number 1 overall pick.
Okay.
In 2013. A guy is
over John Alt and Jim Tyrer.
I did. Jim. Sorry.
My youth is showing. You did take Jim Tyrer. Hold on. Go ahead. Explain your thought process.
Number 1 overall pick, 2013. Played a majority of his career at left tackle. Did start at right tackle, moved to left tackle. Was very good for the Kansas City Chiefs. And the guy I remember the most playing out of everybody. So that's why I'm picking Eric Fisher.
Jim Tyrer was an 8-time All-Star Pro Bowler.
Whoops.
13 years with the Chiefs means nothing to this young guy. I'm just giving you a hard time. But I'll take my Willie Rofe.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go. I was going to make somebody upset. But Eric Fisher,
made me upset.
I did. So I just have a right guard left is all I need.
I've got 2 positions left. I'll just take the tight end, Tony Gonzalez.
Okay.
That's an easy one.
Yep.
Get that done now since you already got Travis Kelce. So I have the second best tight end in NFL history on my team to go with a Hall of Fame quarterback. It's true, not your GOAT quarterback, but
Listen, I'll
got 1 pick left each.
I know.
I'll be your right guard.
Well,
It's an interesting one
yeah.
because my right guard kind of took the position, held it down
For a long time. You've got to go down in the archives a little bit to find who played right guard.
We could take Trey Smith. He's not on our list here, but if you want to take Trey Smith, you can.
LDT, Super Bowl winning right guard. Also Trey Smith, Super Bowl winning right guard.
And this and for anybody out there is like so-and-so played back in the 60s and played right guard for a season. It's the position they played the majority of their career. So there's some clarifications we feel like we should put out there.
I can't put Andrew Wiley out there.
No.
I guess I could, but I'm not
But if you
going
want
to. I am going to
Got some options. Did you go through the options that you've got?
I haven't. Okay, go ahead. Give him the options.
You got Tom Condon,
Yep.
who some people listening to this might remember him as a Chiefs player or knew that he played for the Chiefs, known as a super agent in the NFL now. Dave Lutz, and then LDT. I'm sure there's a few that we missed that could be in this conversation. Trey Smith could be in this conversation if you want for some recency bias. But yeah.
I'll go Tom Condon. I think that's probably the layup that I can take here and make sure that I don't get people mad at me for the recency bias that I already have in my whole other roster. So
You did put Brian Waters at left tackle.
yeah, that wasn't on purpose. I think I was just trying to quickly write down my list and I put him at left tackle. But yeah, Tom Condon rounding out my line there. So what's your final position?
Running back. I made the decision, but it wasn't the easiest one in the world. Because a lot of people forget, you don't talk about him a lot, but how dominant Larry Johnson was.
He really was.
During the peak of his career. Now, granted, he was getting the ball like 490 times a year. He was setting records as far as number of carries. They kind of ran that horse as much as they possibly could. And then you got Christian Okoye, the Nigerian Nightmare, is a phenomenal option. Guys like Barry Ward, Kimball Anders. Maybe I'm just reminiscing on the Chiefs have had an embarrassment of riches at the running back position. Even going back to a short time, obviously it ended in kind of turmoil with Kareem Hunt off the bat. Guys like Joe Delaney during his prime. And he played 1 season in the NFL and was the AFL rookie or AFC Rookie of the Year in 1983. I believe that was. So I'm going with Priest Holmes. He's right behind this offensive line. I do think Priest Holmes' numbers specifically really impressive because of the offensive line that he was running behind. But guess what? I built most of that offensive line here right now. So we can put up that kind of production with Lenny the Cool under center. So for my final pick, rounding out my running back and my 11 guys on offense, I'm going with Priest Holmes. I really like my team.
Yeah, Priest Holmes, 1,300 carries in Kansas City, over 6,000 yards, 6,070. AP Offensive Player of the Year in 2002. So a guy who has a lot of accolades. Like you mentioned it. I was going through kind of the historical starters that the Chiefs have had at the running back position. Like even like Marcus Allen. Like they've had guys at like the running back position that are top tier names that they've kind of, as you said, an embarrassment of spoils of riches. Very impressive when you start to look at it. And a lot of those running backs are on the receiving list for receiving yards. I think Jamal Charles is like 18th on the receiving list in terms of receiving yards. So guys that can really do it all. Yeah, there's a lot of good running backs.
All right, let's recap all of our picks right after this quick break.
Whether you're a Chiefs, Royals, Sporting KC, KC Current, K-State, KU, or Mizzou fan, we've got you covered. Thanks for watching this production of KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
All right, welcome back to this special episode of KCSN Update. I'm BJ Kissel. That is Tucker Franklin, and we are drafting our all-time Chiefs offense this week. Next week, we'll do the defense. This week, we're doing the offense. We're doing 11 personnel. Guys, relative to the competition they played in their prime, how dominant they were drafting. Tucker got to go first, selected the most obvious pick in Patrick Mahomes, the greatest football player to ever live. But Tucker, let's recap. Do you want to run down your offense? Can't remember now what round and what order everybody was taken other than Patrick Mahomes. But you've got very much a kind of an all over the place team. You've got a lot of different areas here, but in the key skill positions, I think you crushed it.
Might be recency bias, but recently the Chiefs have been pretty good. So I think that kind of helps out. I got obviously Patrick Mahomes 1-1 right there with my pick. I think my next pick was Travis Kelce. After that at tight end. And then following that up, just with the running back position, went Jamal Charles, Jeremy Maclin, wide receiver 1, Dwayne Bowe, wide receiver 2, Eddie Kinnison, wide receiver 3. Maybe what shakes out when it comes down to it, maybe that wouldn't actually be the true order of how you would play those guys, but those are the order that I drafted them in. And then let's go to the offensive line. I took Eric Fisher, left tackle, former number 1 overall pick. I guess you're never actually a former. You're always a number 1 overall pick. You're never former. But Brian Waters at left guard, Tim Grunhard at center, Tom Condon, right guard, Dave Hill, right tackle. So it's like it gets old. My offensive line, it starts younger and then gets progressively older. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
All right. My team.
Let's hear it.
Starting under center, Pro Football Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Lenny the Cool. Len Dawson, under center. And he's handing the ball off to Priest Holmes. Not bad.
Strong.
Not bad at all. My 3 wide receivers, starting with the most explosive player in NFL history.
That's fair.
And Tyreek Hill. So Len Dawson, faking it to Priest Holmes with my offensive line, which I'll get to in a second, which is the pride of this team. And throwing to Tyreek Hill. If it doesn't throw to Tyreek Hill, got a big physical wide receiver, making plays, mismatch in his day, should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the late, great Otis Taylor.
Yep.
And then my number 3 wide receiver, who I believe has one of the best seasons in franchise history. If we want to look this up let's look this up right now while we're here. So pass receiving best seasons for most yards in a single season. Derek Zan's 3rd. Yeah, I knew it was number 1 up until a few years ago because we talked about it when Tyreek Hill broke his record. So most receiving yards in Chiefs history, Tyreek Hill, number 1 with 1,479 yards. That was back in 2018. Number 2, Travis Kelce was his tight end on your team, 1,416 in 2020, just a couple years ago. And number 3 is Derek Alexander, 1,391 yards back in 2000. So him is my number 3 receiver along with Tyreek Hill and Otis Taylor. I really like my offensive, or my 3 wide receivers. I'm very, very happy with.
Very different eras too, like 3 distinctly different eras, and 3 guys that really dominated in their respective era. So Derek Alexander, that's a good one. That's a sneaky good one. That's like a name that I don't think a lot of people think of when they're thinking of Chiefs wide receivers, but a name that definitely sticks out because of that 2000 season.
Yeah, and some players who didn't get drafted the wide receivers because it was the one position where there were multiple guys. It was a little more strategery. We'll go through this, but Carlos Carson, Dante Hall, Stephon Page, and one other guy that we didn't talk about that was before your time, but I remember watching play, was Andre Rison.
Yeah,
his best years necessarily weren't in Kansas City. I wouldn't go as far to say, but a guy that definitely made his mark in Kansas City, put up some numbers. So yeah, the one surprising of all of these, to be honest, if we're going to talk about the 6 wide receivers, the most surprising was your bias pick of your Mizzou guy, Jeremy Maclin.
Well, it was
very good. Had obviously some big plays in Kansas City at a time where I believe he came in right after the Chiefs, had that stretch where they had an entire season where wide receiver didn't catch a touchdown. We're not that far removed from this, people. It's always important to remember that when, we get upset about not signing this guy or not signing that guy or not, making this trade to solidify this dynasty that everybody's, wanting us to have right now. And I'm like, just listen to the words coming out of you. Like, you're upset about not making a trade because you think it could lead to a dynasty where we're in the midst of in the midst of the start of the beginning of a dynasty anyway. But yeah, Jeremy Maclin, the one there.
It's a little iffy.
But I get it.
I admitted it at the beginning when I made the pick that it was a little iffy. He had a 1,000-yard season in Kansas City. Actually, last 1,000-yard receiver that the Chiefs have had was Jeremy Maclin, not named Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce. So most recently as Jeremy Macklin. Juju Smith-Schuster came close last year, 933 yards. But Jeremy Macklin, last guy.
He missed a little time, otherwise he would have got there.
Yeah.
All right. My tight end one, Tony Gonzalez. So that worked out pretty well.
Pretty good.
Don't need to say much about that other than Len Dawson faking it to Priest Holmes, Tyreek Hill, Otis Taylor taking the middle, Derek Alexander slashing all over the place. Tony Gonzalez is going to be open.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. It's a good mix. But then let's get into the sweet spot of the old Kissel Chiefs offense here. My 5 starting offensive linemen at left tackle, Willie Roaf.
Yeah, it's good.
At left guard, Ed Buddy. At center, Creed Humphrey. That was the one recency one for me. I took Creed Humphrey over Casey Wegman. Right guard, Will Shields, greatest right guard in NFL history. Right tackle, Mitch Schwartz, greatest right tackle in Chiefs history. My 2 tackles, Willie Roaf and Mitch Schwartz. My 2 guards, Ed Buddy, Will Shields, and my center, Creed Humphrey, blocking for Len Dawson. I like where I'm at. We should make a graphic. We'll put this on social media, let people vote. But I do want to let everybody let us know in the comment section who's got the better offense here. Real quick, run them down, Tuck, your offense. I will do the same, and then we'll put a bow on this show.
All right, quick rundown. Patrick Mahomes under center. Jamal Charles at running back. Wide receivers, Jeremy Macklin, Dwayne Bowe, and Eddie Kinnison. Tight end, Travis Kelce. Left tackle, Eric Fisher. Left guard, Brian Waters. Centers, Tim Grunhard. Right guard, Tom Condon. Right tackle, Dave Hill.
And again, notice what do it. We'll do it real quick to top of mind before you leave that comment and hit that like and subscribe. My offense, quarterback, Len Dawson. Running back, Priest Holmes. Wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, Otis Taylor, Derek Alexander. Tight end, Tony Gonzalez. Left tackle, Willie Roaf. Left guard, Ed Buddy. Center, Creed Humphrey. Right guard, Will Shields. Right tackle, Mitch Schwartz. I can promise you one thing, Tuck. Andy Reid would like my team more.
He probably would.
Our offensive line is ridiculous.
That's fair.
You get Patrick Mahomes. I get Lenny the Cool, but offensive line. And you get Jamal Charles. Should be fair to that, too. You get Patrick Mahomes, Jamal Charles, and Travis Kelce. Your skill guys on the offensive side, outside of receiver, are legit.
It's kind of rude to Eddie Kinnison that you can say that. You're definitely not talking about Jeremy Macklin. I know that.
I think my receivers are better. I think my receivers are better.
I think
But
so too.
the combination of Mahomes, Charles, and Kelce is better than Len Dawson, Priest Holmes, and Tony Gonzalez. I'm not saying mine are a bunch of scrubs, obviously, but
Yeah, no, I think you got the receiver was the one position when we started this. I was like, oh, whoever picks wide receiver first is going to probably be in the spot that they want to be.
we're going to make a rule, though. For the defensive side, you got to do your own research. We're not going to have a
I can't take it
generic
back.
pool because I'm really curious to see how you end up with like Tershawn Wharton as a defensive tackle because you can't think of anybody else that play because you don't know who Curly Culp is.
No, I don't. You're right.
I shouldn't have said that name. I should have kept that to myself. But we appreciate everybody for listening and or watching as we get creative with off-season content here and chance to sit down in the new office, chat a little bit, get all the kinks out of all the stuff that we have going on. But we appreciate you for spending part of your day with us again. Let us know, A, if we missed anybody at all that we haven't talked about on this show that should have been drafted over any of the guys that we did. And then let us know if you're Team Tucker or Team BJ for the offensive side of who you think would have a more explosive championship style offense. Tuck, final thoughts.
Glad to be in the new digs. Glad to have some more content coming out for you guys. Draft season is right around the corner. Basically here, actually. Draft season is here. So really excited.
All right. That's all we've got. Please hit the like and subscribe. Appreciate you for spending part of your day with us. And we'll see you later. By the way, we have a lot of things to announce over the next couple of weeks. So there's going to be a stretch where we announce something new every single day, and you're going to want to pay attention because we've been busy lately, and I've been busy for the last 6 months planning a lot of things that are about to come out and we're about to announce. So we appreciate it. We're excited about it. Appreciate your support. See you next time.
Thanks for watching this production of KC Sports Network, the fastest growing sports media network in Kansas City. Check out these videos that feature our team of more than 15 former players, insiders, and analysts bringing you the best Chiefs coverage you can find. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.